On today's show, she's a best-selling author, nutritionist, and leading voice in the world of health and wellness. She's helped countless people transform their lives through her expertise in the ketogenic lifestyle. With over 20 books, including the 30-day ketogenic cleanse and keto comfort foods, she has inspired a global community to rethink the way we eat, live, and feel. Straight out of Jersey welcomes Maria Emmerich. Welcome, Maria. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for asking. It's such an honor, and what an intro.
Like I said, I feel like I know you so well because, as you can see, the books behind me that we cook in our household are available on Amazon. We love the way you cook. It's a really big inspiration for us to eating right in the right way.
Well, Joe, whatever you don't have, because I know there's quite a few you probably don't have, I will send them to you. So you just send me your address.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Maria. Maybe you can autograph it too from my girl, Maria.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to start, for me growing up, I always had a problem with, food and everything. I was a little bit overweight, husky, as my mom said.
That was I was husky.
Husky, the good word to say, a little bit overweight. Right. My mom used to say that to me. And then I developed it as I got older into bodybuilding and stuff. For you growing up, who was Maria and what was your relationship with food?
Oh, geez. I worked at a coffee shop where before I would go to high school, I would get there at 4 a.m., make the scones and the muffins and the cinnamon rolls. And after school, I would go back to the coffee shop, but we would close about 5. And whatever we didn't sell that day, I got to go home with. So someday I'd have boxes of baked goods. And that was me. That's what I ate. That was my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay. I was everybody's friend. I was friends with the jocks, the hicks, the whatever you want to call them. I loved everybody, and I still do. But I also loved food. I love food a lot. But I was so picky, I made my best friend's mom cry. So I was a very picky eater. As long as it was sugary, it was probably good, but I didn't want to eat steak or broccoli or chicken. I was picky.
What inspired you to start going into the world of nutrition?
Well, I was 16 and I was about twice my size, husky. And I went to my family doctor and she told me I had PCOS, as well as giving me 3 very powerful prescription drugs for a teenager, which I couldn't imagine. I have a 16-year-old now. I couldn't imagine a doctor giving him 3 very powerful drugs to take. I never took them. I never filled those prescriptions because I looked into what causes PCOS, because being told you can't have your own children at 16 is pretty mind-blowing. Excess caffeine, sugar, and carbohydrates, which was what I was living off of. And so I love to bake. I was like, okay, I'm going to just start creating some things that I really like. And I kept them for a secret. I didn't write cookbooks. It was just for me. And I made like these protein cinnamon rolls that were pretty much 0 carb. And I thought they were fantastic. And so I just kind of did this. And then before you knew it, I was married before I could legally drink alcohol. And I told Craig that I probably can't have my own kids. We started adopting kids, and he ended up losing his job, and someone said, why don't you put all your recipes together in a cookbook to raise money for your adoption? And so it gave me a reason to wake up, and I literally had to ride my bicycle to the library to write because we were so poor I didn't even own a computer or a car.
Wow, that's crazy. Now I saw you have 2 kids. They're adopted too, and I see they cook with you also, which is great. That's really great. Growing up in the keto lifestyle, they eat that way also, correct? Is it hard? Kids have parties and they have the ice cream and the pizza. Is it hard for them at all? And, dealing with that?
Well, we homeschool. So I think that changes things a bit.
Okay.
But I was always very different as a teenager. I'm a very different adult woman. I'm different than most people. And I think that I was given that life because my children, they're very different, right? They're very different in their color. They were different because they homeschool. They're different because the way they eat. And I taught them very early that, you know what, being different, that's the way to be, because if you want to be the same, the same people are boring. They're not going to be the famous people. They're not going to be the people changing lives. They're going to be the boring ones sitting at a cubicle,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep, you're right. You're
So
right.
I didn't really realize how that would kind of help them today. Now that they're teenagers, their friends don't eat this way,
Mm-hmm.
but their friends also want bodies like them. Like my kid doesn't even work out and he has a 6-pack. He has a 12-pack, right?
Yeah, I see.
And he doesn't lift. So a lot of it is food. And
Mm-hmm.
so their friends are like, "Hey, what is this kid eating?" And they went they were on the football team, and on the bus to the different places that they play football, Micah brought all the beef sticks. He loves beef sticks. And
Mm-hmm.
like I didn't really have much to eat on the bus. I was like, "Why not?" He's like, "Everybody wanted my beef sticks." So, without being pushy, just, being the example other people
Mm-hmm.
want
Yep. You're the keto king, pretty much. And
to.
for bodybuilding, people don't realize it's not lifting or, those are parts of it, but actually it's eating the right way, eating the protein, which is really important. When did you decide to make this your passion into a full-time career?
Um, I've always loved helping people, and I did go to school for nutrition and exercise physiology. So that was kind of
Okay.
sorry. Excuse me. That's what I always wanted to do. But I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. That was my plan.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what we were going to do. So until my husband lost his job, and that he was the breadwinner, right? I was a rock climbing guide making $8 an hour just until the kids came. And when he lost his job, our insurance, whenever you lose all of that, your adoption, all the money you put into it goes back to zero. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just kind of kept plugging along. I started blogging and I started teaching like nutrition classes
Mm-hmm.
in the area, Minnesota and Wisconsin. And before you knew it, Target Corporation, I spoke there. I spoke at all of these big places. I also taught yoga at Anderson Windows. I don't know if you that. But, I kind of just was
I do.
doing anything to put food on the table because we really had nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept writing and I wrote more books. And one day Craig came up to me, my husband, and he's like, I'm not going to get another job. I'm going to be the stay-at-home dad. I was like, what? I can't do this. He's like, you're making more than I ever have.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
what's interesting is that I still don't really know how much it is today because we still live very simply. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful for those hardships because I've realized how happy I was on nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
money didn't make me happy. It's what's inside.
Yeah. So you homeschool your kids, like you mentioned, and also you have pretty much a giant brand with keto, but also your husband had Lyme disease. And I know someone who had Lyme disease, and people don't realize, they were bedridden. It's a really tough, disease to deal with. How did you deal with all of that stuff?
Wow, that was really tough. I'm not going to cry on you, but seeing your strong husband, he was a wrestler. I mean, he's
Mhm.
he's a short little guy, but he was very, very strong. And seeing
Yeah.
him he was bedridden,
Yeah.
and holding it all together was, I don't know how I did it. It
Really.
was very stressful. Uh,
Hmm.
it helped that my children brought me joy because they were at the age like, 4 or 5. This was about 10 years that we went through this, but when they
Hmm.
were younger, they just brought me joy. And it was like, I need to take care of them. And I just took one step at a time. If you see the whole picture, it kind of seems overwhelming, but in the moment, we were okay. It was sad
Hmm.
to see him like that, but in the moment, we were okay. We would go fishing every day. Um,
Hmm.
you know,
Okay.
Everybody
How
has
did?
their hardships. You just can't. Here's the thing. You can't let it keep you down. If you're the type of person that is like, "Oh, woe is me," nobody wants to be around that crap. You
Hmm.
gotta be like, "Oh, this really sucks, but I've got this going on."
Yep.
So just kind of not letting that pull you down.
Hmm. How's he doing today?
Oh, great.
Good. Great.
Great.
That's good.
Yeah, the diet, getting rid of the inflammation was a huge piece to his puzzle. By the time he found out he had Lyme disease, he also had something called ankylosing spondylitis. Have you heard of
Okay.
it?
I've heard of that. Yes.
Where your joints basically calcify and
Hmm.
you become stone man. So
Wow.
he can't turn his neck like that. He can't, his
Hmm.
spine is very rounded. But the progression has stopped. So that's good.
What, these doctors, the first thing they do, and I think doctors are good for surgeries, but when it comes to actually health and nutrition, they really don't know what's going on. That's how I believe. When my girl Morella was in the hospital, the hospital food, I wouldn't give it to a dog. It's just really bad. Like you said, eating the right way, people, it makes you feel better. You've written over 20 books. How do you keep those fresh ideas when you're putting those, recipes together?
Gosh, there's so many different recipes I haven't even touched, right?
Really?
There's so many different ethnicities where they have their own, like I was just looking into some Brazilian recipes, uh, momofuku or something, like all of these things that, oh, I bet I could mess around with that. And I don't know if I'll ever try the actual thing, but I can try to replicate that with different ingredients. And yeah, I'm kind of shocked that more stuff keeps popping up. It's like, oh yeah, I haven't done one for that. I just did Velveeta cheese.
Okay.
You know,
Mhm.
which was, it took Velveeta has what, like 40 ingredients, and I took it down to 5. So, and
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's crazy good.
Mhm.
I don't know. I just really love to play with food. I love being in the kitchen more than I'm an introvert. It's not that I don't like people. I just find solitude very comforting, and I could just be in the kitchen cooking all day by myself and be super happy.
There's so much information and misinformation about being keto. What are your biggest myths you like to clear up maybe about keto that people think?
That it's like bacon, butter, cheese, heavy cream. So being in ketosis, as
Hmm.
long as you're keeping the carbs down, you don't have to be adding the fat. And a lot of people, they get hung up on, oh, I need a higher ketone number if they're testing their ketones and they want them higher. And
Hmm.
I'll say, like, what is your overall goal? And 99% of the time it's weight loss.
Hmm.
And I'm like, higher ketones just means you ate a lot of fat and you have a lot of energy going on in your system. This is not a good place to be. So my ketones are always very low. I work out in the morning, and so I'm using ketones for my energy. So then it's
Hmm.
going to be really low.
Hmm.
You can put a bunch of MCT oil all over white rice and read high ketones. But guess what? You are going to gain weight on that meal.
Hmm.
Fat and carbs together is not a good situation. The only people I care about high ketones would be people with epilepsy, seizures, Alzheimer's, that type of stuff. But most people aren't dealing with that. They have high blood pressure, they have type 2 diabetes, they have, insulin resistance, they have all these other ailments. And in that case, we need to shrink the fat cells and gain or at least maintain your muscles as you lose weight. And you know this as a bodybuilder, whenever someone goes on a weight loss journey, some percent of it is going to be muscle.
Correct. Correct.
But I have found tuned that to be, like some people with Ozempic, it's found to be up to 50%. I'm not saying everybody, but if you don't work out and don't prioritize protein. But if you want to get it down to 2% muscle loss, we do a protein sparing modified fast approach, which is still in ketosis,
Mm-hmm.
but it's
Yeah.
super low in fat and super low in carbs.
Wow. What do you think of that Ozempic?
If you're in a situation where you are already having all of these illnesses where it's making you sick, it's going to, it's
Hmm.
taking part of your life away, it can be very freeing.
Okay.
However, if you have, 15, 20 pounds to lose, I don't think that's for you.
Very good. Yeah, you're right.
And there's
Mhm.
other ways to get around it. I've heard that it can help with inflammation and stuff like that. I don't know if that's true.
Okay.
Um, but I would just say if you're in a situation like I worked with a guy named Tyler, he was 650 pounds.
Wow.
He didn't do it, but that's who it's for. But what's so
Hmm.
interesting about him, he was metabolically super healthy. He had no signs of anything. He was one of those metabolic anomalies that could gain more fat cells. Most
Hmm.
people don't gain more fat cells after the age of like infancy.
Hmm.
Just inflate yours or deflate yours. And when they get inflated too much, that's insulin resistance, right? The insulin's like a net and it can't hold that in
Right.
anymore. They're too big. So the whole idea is you want to shrink the fat cells and gain muscle so you have more places for glucose to go.
Hmm.
So
100%. When I'm at the gym, I always, especially women will ask me about working out, or sometimes I always push them towards your books and everything cooking. But, some people will tell me, they say that eating keto can be expensive. What do you think about that? That's what they'll say to me. I say, no, I don't think so.
So people have an excuse for everything, right?
That is correct.
Healthy food costs too much, stuff like that. I think that cereal is expensive. I think that chips are expensive. And if you do not have to buy organic. You buy a pound of ground beef that can last you to eat the whole day. It's going to be way cheaper than a Starbucks. Right?
Yeah.
People, they'll go to Starbucks every single day for $8 a drink.
Yeah, 100%.
Eggs are super cheap, and that could feed a whole family. When we first adopted the boys, we were very poor, and eggs, we had a rule that everybody had to have eggs as one meal. And my youngest son hated eggs. And so I was like, I can make eggs a million different ways. Why can you have to like something? And so I threw 10 hard-boiled eggs into a blender with a can of coconut milk, a little cocoa powder, some natural sweetener, and vanilla, a little cinnamon. And I blended that up, and it's the best chocolate mousse you'd ever have. I made that for Halle Berry, and she was like, what?
Yeah. Yes. I've seen that about Halle Berry. You made her some designs and stuff. It was pretty good. Yeah. Do you and Craig have problems eating out? Because I know some restaurants, they don't make it. I'll get a burger on a lettuce wrap or something. What about you?
So we just got back from a month-long trip. We spoke in Egypt.
Wow. Yeah.
I was supposed to speak in South Africa. That's a whole nother story. My passport was too full. I had to go home. But we were gone for about a month. We went to Rome, Egypt, South Africa, Botswana. Not one place did we have an issue eating.
Okay.
Not one. Rome, we ate the best food. People think of pasta and gelato, but they're known for their meat too. Their meat and cheeses are the best. And so we ate our hearts out there, and lots of great seafood there. Egypt, not an issue whatsoever. They're very accommodating. And it was like, we'll have the shawarma, but no rice or whatever they serve it with. And they're like, okay, do you want more shawarma? We're like, sure. The only place I had an issue, it was in Rome. It wasn't this year. This was about 10 years ago. I remember going to this burger joint and saying, can I just have the patty? No bun. They're like, that's not a burger. I was like, but I just don't waste the bun on me. I'm not going to eat it. They're like, then that's not a burger. And I was like, whatever. I'll take the burger. I'll throw the bun away. Right.
That happens to me too.
In Paris, we ate the best food, and there's no problem whatsoever.
Okay, that's pretty good. What's the most common mistake people when they start keto that they make, you think?
Eating way too much fat, eating way too much cheese and nuts, which is funny because when I work with somebody one-on-one, I cut out dairy and I cut out nuts.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Those are also constipating, and that's a big common thing that will happen when people start keto. They're like, oh, I went keto, I got constipated. I was like, are you doing any dairy? Are you doing any nuts? Both of those are constipating. And are you doing any electrolytes? Because as you eliminate carbohydrates, along goes a lot of water loss.
Yeah,
that water loss you might, feel crappy in the gym. You have heavy legs walking upstairs. Sometimes people get depressed, and it's all because of electrolytes. If you add in, you need potassium, magnesium, but you can't absorb those without sodium. And the colon needs hydration. It doesn't need fiber. Fiber is actually a menace. We can get into that, but the colon needs hydration, and sodium will bring that in.
That's odd. Fiber is a menace. I never heard that, because I take a fiber pill every day. I don't know why. Why is that?
So there's a great book called The Fiber Menace, which I highly recommend. And I always wonder, because I work with so many people that have diverticulitis, Crohn's or colitis, different gut issues, IBS. And when you cut out all the fiber, they start to heal.
Really?
I also cut out dairy and gluten. But when you cut that fiber out, fiber is like steel wool on the intestines, right?
Oh, wow.
And that starts to damage that intestinal lining. So no, I don't think fiber is a good thing. Do you do it for what? For like hunger and stuff?
I just take it to keep, I guess my bowels moving, I guess is what they say.
Instead.
What?
Electrolytes instead.
Use electrolytes instead?
More constipated could be a low thyroid issue, could be low iodine issue. again, it could be, dairy that causes a lot of constipation for people, or nuts. Nuts are very, because of all the fiber in them. This fiber adds bulk to the stools, and that bulk causes hardness.
Okay, gotcha. I understand. What vitamins do you take every day?
Jeez, a
Because I
billion.
take a lot of vitamins every day. I take about 30.
We're like best friends. I have so many. It's crazy. I have so many. And I try to do the thing where you should rotate them so your body doesn't get used to it. But I mean, there's so many. I wake up and I do, gosh, I'm trying to think right now because I just I set them out every day. So, there's a lot.
Yeah, vitamin E, CoQ, Q10.
But I do that with, I actually move that to the evening because that, and I'll do vitamin C sometimes in the evening, but I don't want to do it around my workout because any antioxidants is going to negate some of the benefits, right? So I move those, like ALA, I do that. Alpha lipoic acid, more for my skin. I take placenta capsules.
Wow.
For my skin, a lot of vanity. I do collagen capsules.
Collagen,
I did berberine for a while.
Okay.
Dihydroberberine, because the dihydroberberine doesn't have such gut issues. Some people have diarrhea with berberine. I mean, there's
you take a ton of them, just like me.
And what is I have to.
Yeah, I do.
If it's a perfect human diet, you shouldn't have to take any supplements. You do not have to take them because the most nutrient dense food is meat, and I'm eating all the meat. But it's more for just filling in those gaps because our modern day diet is not going to be, our food is just different.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I eat meat. Meat has creatine in it, but I take creatine, every day. So yeah. What does your workout look like? Do you work out with weights? How does your workout plan work?
So I used to be a marathon runner, and I would run every single day. I didn't miss a day of running in 22 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I ran a lot, and I wish I would have known what I know now. I interviewed, I can't remember his name. He's a doctor that is brilliant when it comes to protein metabolism. And he's known as the best protein metabolism doctor. How runners, the stress of running, you need more protein than what a bodybuilder needs. And I was like, that doesn't make sense to me, but it does make sense to me because I went from being very muscular to being very weak, right? So now I don't run at all, but I do work out. I do weightlifting every morning. So I start with red light. I'll do red light for 20 minutes. We have Juve. And then I'll do strength training and I switch off. I'll do upper body, lower body every other day. I'm very into routine. So I don't want to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I want to do every day and then split it up, and it doesn't take so much time. And then I'll jump in the sauna for 20 minutes longer if I have time. But I really hate the sauna, which I know it's working then because I hate being hot. But if it's easy for you, you're not getting the benefits, right?
Yep, 100%.
So I do sauna, and then I'll have my first meal of usually steak and scallops.
Does Craig work out with you?
No, I'm a morning bird. I'm up at 4 a.m. and I'm in the gym I was there about 3:15 today.
Oh, wow.
In our gym, it's just, but Craig, he's a night owl, so he's going to get up later, but it kind of works for us because we share a computer, right? We both work from home, and it's nice to have a little bit of that alone time to just, I can write and not be distracted. I like getting up early. When I was writing my books, I had to get up early because the boys, by the time they woke up, they needed me, right? So.
Yeah, that's crazy. Any tips? So when Maria asked me this, another Maria, any tips for tricks for cooking home? Cooking in bulk, because for busy people, it's really tough sometimes, and to save food and cook in bulk. Any tips that you can think of for that? I
batch cook all the time. People think I'm cooking every day, and I'm not.
Okay.
Of course, if I'm making a steak, but it takes 5 minutes. Why would I, it's not hard. But my kids love my Italian chili. They say it tastes like pizza in a bowl. And so I'll do 8 pounds of ground beef at one time. and make it all. And they can just take it out and reheat it whenever they want, especially being like teenagers, whenever they're hungry, they can grab something. But also, I just made a big batch of meatballs. And so my son loves meatballs. I said, which flavor you want? Because I got like a billion of them in those books. And he's like, the Mama Maria ones. So I made the Mama Maria meatballs. But when I made them, again, get out like 8 pounds of ground beef and then make them into meatballs. And I use an ice cream scooper to do that. So they're even size. Toss them in the freezer. And then I'll put them in bags for Kai, my youngest. He can just take a bag out that has their giant meatballs. So like 3 meatballs in a bag. And he'll just take them out, put them on a tray and toss them in the oven. And I just do that type of stuff all the time. My Big Mac casserole is a huge hit, and that freezes great. And so if you're making one, I would say make 2, put one in the freezer for, a day where you don't know what's going to happen. But people say it takes too much time to cook, right? So a long time ago, this is on YouTube somewhere, my husband turned the camera on, I turned the camera on. He went to Chipotle, which is just like 2-3 miles away. And it was at 2 p.m, so it wasn't a busy time. And I made Chipotle at home. So he brought one kid. I had one kid with me helping. And not only did it cost a fourth of the price as Chipotle, by the time they got home with the to-go Chipotle, we were already cleaned up. We had leftovers. We ate everything. So it's not faster. It's not cheaper. It's just maybe more easy. But if people would actually like work out in the kitchen and cook around, like I don't sit down ever. I'm always in the kitchen. I'm always doing stuff. They don't realize that non-exercise activity adds up to a lot of calories.
Wow. And Morella, she's always cooking all your stuff, all your books. The only hardest part is sometimes I'm running to the store trying to find those ingredients because I got to either order them. They're hard to find sometimes in like ShopRite. I got to go to someplace else,
Do you have kids?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do.
Our oldest just turned 16 and he's like,
okay,
I can go to the store for you. I was like, okay. And so I gave him my list and he came back with all different stuff. And I was like, I needed unsweetened baking chocolate because I was making lava cakes. And he's like, this is chocolate. I was like, I don't want the sugar chocolate.
Yes. I have that same issue.
Ask a question. Say, they don't have the stuff you want. Is this okay? I'll say no. So
yeah, I have that same issue. We just had Halloween that just passed. Do you get kids coming for candy? What do you give out? You give out protein? What do you?
We live way in the woods.
Okay.
I was just bow hunting there this morning. We live way in the sticks. We don't have any trick-or-treaters.
Oh, okay.
We never have. We've always lived in the woods. I mean, yeah.
No, wow. That's pretty funny. Who's the one that cooks with you? Kai cooks with you?
Kai loves Kai. Well, he's kind of going through a stage. He's 15, and so he's pulling back a little bit. But he cooked with me yesterday a lot. So I was like, thank you. I just need a little bit of that, Kai, once in a while.
Because I could see him going your route with the health and fitness. What do you think?
I told him he's more chefy. I don't think he'll be into fitness. My oldest one is really into fitness, where Kai's just into food. Like his New Year's resolution was to eat more heavy cream. So he loves chefy stuff. Like he wants to cook a steak. But he wants to do like they do it on TV and, spoon the butter over it. And I was like, you don't really have to do that, right? Because you want to do that with a lean steak, but you're making a ribeye. You don't have to do that. And he's like, but I want to. And I was like, okay. I told him, I said, there's a lot of chef people on YouTube where they give you a lot of tips. I said, you'd be great at that. So I don't know what he'll do. Right now, it's the opposite of parents, right?
Yeah, exactly. I have all your books, as you can see. We cook with them and everything. Which one of your books had the biggest impact, you think, on readers that, was really impactful to a lot of people, do you think?
Keto, the one that's right by your head. The one on top.
This one?
People, this is not my words, but they call it the Keto Bible because it explains all the mistakes people do with all the high fat, It explains how to lose weight. It explains where the nutrients are in food because everybody thinks the nutrients, if I put a plate of kale in front of you, a plate of blueberries in front of you, or a steak in front of you, which one has the most nutrients?
I would say steak.
Yeah, the steak has so much more nutrients without the anti-nutrients of the others. And it's kind of eye-opening that way. But there's also like some no-cook meal plans in there for people that are busy and on the go that can make some easy things. But that was the one I think that's most impactful for people.
Yeah. Would you have a favorite recipe that you enjoy the most?
I
You
love
probably
my carnivore steak sauce. I have just about every day.
have okay.
So
Every day.
yeah, it's, you use brown butter, talking about no dairy and stuff, but you use it with brown butter. I just love it so much. Yeah.
What advice would you give young like writers who want to be in the keto world if they want to write their own book? What advice would you give them?
Be your own person, because I
Okay.
see a lot of, I don't know, influencers trying to do the next great thing, or
Hmm.
I was always just my own person. I'm very different.
Mhm.
I'm not going to do something just because it's popular. Uh, and follow your heart, and integrity is key, I think. I don't want to be a hypocrite and say, don't drink coffee, and then I'm just drinking a bunch of coffee. Don't drink alcohol, and I'm just sitting around having a glass of wine. So if I tell you to do something, I'm not doing it.
Mhm. Yeah, 100%. I wanted to touch base on something, and something bothered me a lot, and I want to bring it up. And you don't have to mention about. Obviously, I think the world of you and your books and everything. We live your lifestyle every day here. Um, I saw some things online that people were complaining about your weight, and I saw that, and it really bothered me about that. How did you take that feedback? And because you're a fitness person, and you maybe went through some things, but how did you take that?
Um, I can handle constructive criticism really well.
Hmm.
But when it's just like mean comments saying,
Yeah.
you're anorexic or that type of thing, they
Hmm.
don't, I think that was one of the things that I told you, Craig had all these illnesses,
Correct.
homeschooling the kids. Everything was really out of control. And the only thing I could control was what I put in my mouth. And
Okay.
sometimes I wouldn't put anything in my mouth because
Mm-hmm.
I was so busy trying to get everything done.
Yep.
And that was the last thing I wanted to do. Um, and like I told you, I lost a lot of muscle mass with running and not eating enough, right?
Correct.
I'm not proud of it,
It,
but
it's it was tough.
it
You know.
was it was tough. But I also, when the scale got really low, um, really, really low, I looked terrible, but I would get a high off that number, right?
Mm.
It was like, "Whoa," I was told that I was big boned, I was never gonna be skinny. Look at
Hmm.
this number, right?
Yeah.
And I looked terrible at that point. Someday, I'm gonna try to do, like, a before after picture, because I was in Costa Rica when I have this picture done, and I'm just emaciated. I think I was, like, 84 pounds, and I wanna do one soon where I have abs of steel and be like, even though I'm still small, I'm much healthier. I'm making strides.
Hmm. Yeah. It's tough because even for me, being, I go struggle sometimes the same way. I look at myself, oh, my arms are not big enough. It happens, especially being from the bodybuilding world. We're always judging how we look, and we should be happy because we look great. But that's the way we think about it. It's tough.
Right. I did another podcast with a bodybuilder, and he won the fittest man. He was 3.5% body fat, I think. And
Wow.
he's like, you can't live at that. That is
No.
not healthy. And he said, when you see yourself changing, it's a mind mess. It makes you
Correct.
want to go back to that. And you know
Hmm.
how to do it, but you shouldn't. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And bodybuilding is not the healthiest sport, let's just say. I know a lot of bodybuilders who passed away, so it's not the greatest sport, to be, 2%, 1% body fat, like, and kind of can be a little bit difficult to judge, but we deal with that every day, call it fat or whatever.
Right.
It's pretty tough. Um, I wanted to ask you, what other things do you think misconceptions people don't think about keto or eating that they don't like? Sugar is really horrible for you, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, they think that, red meat is bad for the environment, which, or, eating meat is bad for the environment, which it could be more opposite than the truth. Conventional raised beef is
Hmm.
a problem, but when you get, organically raised grass-fed beef, that is going to be regenerative to our earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And actually, it takes a lot more resources to plant a bunch of soybeans or corn or, things like that. So farming is good for the environment. They also think like red meat is going to be bad for your cholesterol or bad for your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting is we keep pushing. I'm not saying, I'm trying to say this in the right way. Cholesterol makes healthy hormones.
Mm-hmm.
So when I work with a man who's on Viagra,
Okay.
or a man who's on statin lowering drugs, he's also
Okay.
usually taking Viagra
Okay.
because he has no hormones anymore to
Mm-hmm.
have an erection. So cholesterol is our friend. So we don't want to poo-poo it. Obviously, there's going to be issues if you're, other numbers are terribly high, but we shouldn't be pushing this really low cholesterol because that's the leading cause of depression
Mm-hmm.
and cancer. So.
Wow. What projects do you have upcoming that they can tap on?
Well, I don't have any like products, but I do these retreats around the world where I don't get paid for them. They're not like a money making thing. I get a free trip, but you can travel with me. And we've done Italy, we've done Thailand, we've done Bali, we've done Croatia, Greece. We've gone all over these amazing places. And I literally make my best friends for life because if you've ever been to summer camp, when you hang out with people for a week, you get very close, right? You're having breakfast, dinner together, and exploring. Like we hung out with elephants in Thailand. We do all these crazy things together. And we're going to go to Croatia next September. And then, have you ever heard of Ischia?
No, I have not.
Ischia is a tiny island in Italy where it's like being in Rome, but without all the people. And it's so great. And we eat delicious food. And here's the thing. I'm not a judgy person. If you want to have the pasta and gelato, I don't care. But as long as you don't judge me, I'm not going to judge you. If you come with a great attitude, you're going to have fun.
Wow. That's great. I want to thank you so much for kind of coming on with me. I really enjoy your lifestyle. Like I said, we cook that way, we eat that way. And I think it's the best way for everyone to be healthy. Hopefully when I go visit our Maria out in Wisconsin, maybe we can meet up, we can cook something together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's great.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time, Maria. Keep doing what you're doing. You're helping a lot of people. We love you. Thank you so much.
Your blessing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Started from nothing. Jersey streets, we owned it. Jay-Z pumping iron. Body builder coding. Beings on the course.